You have led large teams uh, or teams of various sizes, if I can say. Some were small, some were large. And as an entrepreneur, probably one man show as well. What were some of the key lessons that you learned as a leader, which is probably crucial for success?
Well, a lot of learnings. I'd talk about maybe one or two. Um, the general perception that for you to be a leader, you need a title, designation, or somebody else to call you a leader is a myth, right?
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
Leadership is your behavior, which shows up in your thoughts and in your actions, right? You don't need a team or people around you to be a leader. And that's a very, very big realization that comes to you only after you start leading teams,
Mm,
in a corporate setup or otherwise. All of us have had these opportunities through our schooling days, college, and of course, as we work in a corporate, multiple situations. You
yeah.
don't have to formally be a people's manager um, to lead them, right? And that realize the day you get that realization, um, you look at leadership very differently, right? One of
True
my
that.
mentors used to say this. This is, I think, a quote by Tim Peters, one of them. But broadly, the essence of the quote was: leaders don't make others as followers; they make others as leaders as well. And it stays with me. It's a very loaded statement. The more you think about it, the more it inspires you and makes you feel that there's so much more to do. The general perception is if I'm the leader in many corporate experiences that I've had, um, as a leader of the table, you are expected to lead, so show the way, and therefore act what you're essentially expected to do at that point in time, which is not true, right? Um, the leader can be anybody who's probably not part of the conversation. It can be a child, it can be an old person around you, and they can teach you a thing or two about leading. Right? Question is, are you open to learn to be a leader? You have to learn to be a leader. It's not a skill. Some people, they say, are born leaders, right? I don't think so. I think leaders are made. They're made by the experiences they are subject to. They're made by the teachings that they're subject to. And it is hard-earned skill. There is no right age for you to mature. We've seen young CEOs, 25, 26 years old, reading large corporations. We've seen 80 plus people building corporations which are large enough. So there is enough proof that age is not a barrier for leadership, and uh, anybody can inspire you from from a leadership standpoint. In my experience, the one thing that I've always tried to follow is listen hard, speak slow, think fast. If you're kind of blending these three together somewhere in your leadership style, um, and don't take your position for granted. Just because you're entitled or titled in some sense doesn't give you the leeway. You still have to go back to the basics. Somebody is reaching out to you for a problem at a crisis level. Ensure that you ask them the right questions and support them or guide them in the right direction. Uh, for me, a couple of really good examples on leadership um, in practice has been my work at Infosys. I had the good fortune of working with some of the leaders at that time. I think Nandan Nilekani was the CEO. He always used to talk about this in town halls. For being the CEO of the organization, his inbox used to be zero emails, right? And he would say, when I read an email, there are only three things I do. I delegate. So if somebody needs to work on it, I do that. I reply in case I'm expected to reply, or I delete, right? It's not something I have to act on. It does not hold any place in my inbox. And that's just a simple version of um, leadership principles in practice. And you learn from it, which essentially is be very clear in your thought. To be able to do that, we've all got inboxes and we manage them in very strange ways, right? It's a small
Yeah.
example, but for me, it goes a long way to talk about the clarity, the skill that you need, the experience, and the acumen that you would develop over a period of time to do that. So you got to continuously evolve into that role as a leader.
I'm just reminded of a few friends. I wouldn't name the company, I wouldn't name where they were from, but took pride in saying that I had about 13,100 emails. Do you even know what that means? I'm like, no. So